Alrighty, back at it. Let's uncork a few more films from Sundance 2021. Starting with On the Count of Three, which was my most anticipated film of the festival for a few reasons. This was Jerrod Carmichael's directorial debut. He's a comedian from North Carolina who has ties to Bo Burnham, which shows in the dialogue of this film. Another reason I was looking forward to this was because of the writers of Ramy, a show I have heard non-stop praise about. This film is a dark comedy about two friends that make a pact to kill themselves by the end of the day, so they live their last day to the fullest. First, I have to look at the fucking massive ensemble cast. So many names I didn't even know were going to be in it, and they play against type a lot. For instance, we have JB Smoove as an abusive father. Of course he still made me laugh because he's JB Smoove, but he really developed Jerrod's character. The two leads, Jerrod and Christopher Abbott, absolutely kill this. Christopher Abbott really makes a living at Sundance. He was in Black Bear and Possessor last year, he is in this and World to Come this year, he was in James White a few years ago. After this performance, it just solidifies him as one of the best at acting quirky and unhinged. We first meet him in a mental hospital, and it really sets the tone with how their chemistry is built up. This felt like a really natural chemistry from the beginning, and holy shit is it a funny relationship. Jerrod has most of the punchlines that work, while Abbott handles most of the situational humor, one example being his choice of music. At the end of the day, it is a dark comedy, and it handles the grim moments with perfect dramatic elements and doesn't try to sugarcoat anything. The most fun film of the festival, and I'd give it a high 8. Next, we have John in the Hole. Every Letterboxd review was the exact same for this film. It's like Yorgos made Home Alone, which, to be fair, is pretty accurate. This is a patient, well-shot film and presented in 4:3 aspect ratio. It is about a kid that wants to learn how to be an adult, so he throws his family into an unfinished bunker. After the initial incident, we just watch the kid eat all of their food and do shit a kid would do under no supervision, like drive a car. This was on my list for two reasons. The plot sounds absurd, and Michael C. Hall, who is in my favorite TV show ever, Dexter. Over half of the movie is just bullshit simple white kids talking about what they should do next. The rest of the movie is cutting to the family in the hole, which are the best parts of the film. We watch them progress through the thoughts of if John put them in the hole, into why the fuck did John put us in a hole, into what could we have done to prevent this. I do not have many thoughts about this film besides if you like patient, weird films, this could be your cup of tea. I won't dismiss this completely because of the presentation and the performances, but I'd give this about a 5. Lastly, we have Wild Indian. This is about two friends dealing with an initial incident of being a part of a kid's murder. One of the characters we see is thriving as a successful businessman, Jesse Eisenberg being one of his henchmen, the other being shown in prison. Wild Indian is a dark character study about the impacts of traumatic incidents on people, and is completely unapologetic in its narrative. Not at one point did I feel like the protagonist was being fleshed out or is trying to be redeemed, which I love. The problems start with how front-loaded this film felt. We get a very early climax that kind of comes out of left field. It feels like we should be getting this within the last 15 minutes of the film, but instead within the first hour we get it. I enjoyed watching this, but it did feel like there was a bit of filler that did not develop any themes that weren't already touched upon. A solid 6 for me, fellas. Later, nerds.